Когда мы колеблемся, все равно подписываем, выясняется, это ошибка.
Основной смысл того, что сделали с Югославией, было выбить Сербию, и чтобы не было больше никогда особых
The point of what has been done to Yugoslavia is to eject Serbia,
и России.
to thwart any special relations between Serbia, Черногория or Montenegro and Russia.
И это была основная цель.
It's been so since Churchill.
Разгром Югославии, раздел Югославии.
The Balkans must stay beyond Russia's influence. That is the major goal. They planned to defeat Yugoslavia in detail long ago. My service has had great relationship with Slovenes. I've been to Slovenia and I've spoken with the Slovenes, the former heads of their security services, as a guest. They've told me what's going on in an independent Kosovo now, what's going on there since the 70s, and who's been backing up the terrorists, Kosovo Muslims. Well, the Balkans is a very complicated region. There weren't any saints there. It was a civil war. And the Serbs remember too well what the Croats had done to them during the World War II. The Croats were killing the Serbs and the Jews for no reason. 1 million people. The Croats have killed 1 million people. The Croats were killing the Serbs and the Roma because they were the Serbs and the Roma. They killed them just because they were the Serbs. The Croats had their favorite way of execution, which they also used in the recent war. I'm talking about the Croats. The Croats had their favorite way of execution. They used to herd people to a river, men, women and children, and crush their skulls with a huge club. And then they dumped them in water. It is a traditional Croatian execution. Well, no one's talking about it now. The violent partition of Yugoslavia started in Croatia. Meanwhile, there was quiet in Slovenia. They were left alone. I spoke with them. There weren't any saints there. Everyone was killing somebody. Still, what's bugging me is that the Croats were the Nazis' collaborators, together with the Bosnians. 90% of the Hitler's Muslim battalion were the Bosnians. They were from Bosnia, and they fought on Hitler's side. And then among Bosnians, there were those armed on bin Laden's money. They came from Afghanistan, from Chechnya, from here. I mean, the entire terrorist international, all the terrorists got together in Bosnia and fought the Serbs. No one's talking about the Serbs who had been burnt in the churches in Kosovo, in Bosnia. It was a civil war, a very cruel war. There weren't any saints on any side. But only the Serbs have been blamed. Has anybody heard what the International War Tribunal in Hague has decided about Milosevic? It was published last year, and the statement goes like this: we have no proof whatsoever that Milosevic had ordered any killings of the Croats, Bosnians, etc. So the tribunal has acquitted him. Is anybody talking about it now? He died in prison. He was indicted, yet he never was convicted. Last year they wrote, there is no evidence and there is no any proof of Milosevic being guilty of genocide and murder. I am talking about the Hague's verdict on a particular case. There is no proof.
Мы говорили.
No one's talking about that. As far as Madame Albright is concerned, the philanthropic Madame Albright, who unfortunately belongs to my people, by the way, she had learned about it when she had got old. She had always thought that she was a Czech. She had had no clue why her parents had fled Czechoslovakia. She is a Jew. Well, what can I do about it? So when, with the backing of the UNO forces, specifically the French and the Belgians, they were committing the Rwanda massacre, this madam had forbidden the employees of the Department of State to raise the issue of the genocide in Rwanda because it ran counter to her foreign policy. So, with the acquiescence of the United States, the backing of the French and the Belgians, 700,000 people had been killed in Rwanda. They let those people pass by. And when the Tutsis flew back, they were turning them away. And the purpose of their deployment had been to prevent genocide in the first place. The only Belgian officer who had tried to intervene was discharged from the Belgian army. An infamy, the only saint. So regarding Yugoslavia, from the very beginning, it has been aimed against Russia. It was started in order to restrict Russia's future capabilities. Those who had failed to understand it had betrayed Yugoslavia. It was me. When the United Nations Security Council was deciding on the founding of the International Tribunal in Hague, there was a single country that said, "We don't give a damn. Our military is immune from its jurisdiction, the United States of America." You do recognize it, while the Americans said, "We don't give a damn about it, and no American soldier will ever be tried in this court of law, and no American citizen will ever be tried in this court of law, no matter what he would do." And you acquiesced. The voting resembled the data on the courts. It was a rehearsal. Later, Russia put up with the decision on Libya. So they got it and repeated it once again, and the Serbs had no other way but to join NATO and the European Union. Russia had once betrayed them, whom they were to rely upon. And the last one. If today's Russia was like then, there would have been no Russia, and you wouldn't have been talking about Syria. If the then Russia was like today's Russia, nothing would have happened in Yugoslavia. Nobody would have touched a hair of the Serbs, the Croats, or anybody.
Вы в Хорватии давно были? И вы как там вот ходили, как это вообще было? Если все хорваты вот убийцы, как это вообще?
Я в Хорватии себя чувствовал.
Да.
In Croatia, I felt myself exactly like in Germany. My personal feud is different. My approach is different. When I first saw the German uniform on my way from Switzerland to Germany, and when the man entered and said, "Your documents, please," man, it set my soul on fire, because it was the same uniform. And when I saw Germans while on a visit to Germany, when I was of my father's age, I had the only question: where were you during the war?
Когда я приехал в Австрию, первое, что я сделал, я привез своего сына, ему было 6 лет, Маутхаузен.
The first place I brought my 6-year-old son to when we got to Austria was Mauthausen, so that he could learn what country he had been brought to. And then we happened to come to Germany.
ребенок в машине проснулся вечером.
We were driving from Tyrol via Munich to Austria. My kid woke up in the car and asked to go out.
И спрашивает, а где мы?
We stopped and he asked, "Where are we?"
Я говорю, мы едем. Он говорит, мы в Германии. Я говорю, да.
Is it Germany? And I said, yes.
Ой, ужас какой.
И мальчик сказал, я не выйду.
And he's like,
Такие не будут в Германии. 6 лет ему было.
I'm not going. He was just 6 years old.
Хорошо защищают память того, что произошло с этим народом в годы Второй мировой войны. Вот сербам не удается это сделать. Вот им не удается. Потому что в Ясеневе, на кладбище...